Well, well, well.
Yes,
We,
sir.
we
Yes,
have
sir.
we have returned,
Yeah,
Mr. Matthew Barry.
we
How's the
are
world, man?
we are back, man.
We are back.
Man,
We are back. We are
man. Hey, let me give you an interesting story,
back.
man. This happened to me today, man.
Okay.
You've probably have driven a Rolls Royce before, right? I've never driven a
I've
Rolls
never
Royce.
driven it. I've been in one.
I've never driven one. So
Okay.
today, today I picked this guy up at a bar, intoxicated. At 1 o'clock, he's drunk.
Say that again. You broke up. Your video broke up.
I said that I picked
Did
this
you hear
guy.
that?
Can you hear me?
Repeat what you said. Your video broke
Yeah.
up.
Okay. I said I
Okay.
picked this guy
I
up
can
at
hear
a
you now.
yeah, I picked this guy up at a bar today, right? I'm driving Uber, so I picked a guy up at the
Okay.
bar. He was extremely intoxicated at 1, 2 o'clock in the day. I pick him up, he
Hmm.
gets in the car and he's talking and then he says, hey man, I'm getting ready to sell my Rolls Royce. I'm like, you don't know Rolls Royce. Are you serious? He said, yeah, I got a Rolls Royce. It's a convertible, and I'm getting ready to sell it and for a Maybach and 200,000 cash. I'm
Hmm.
like, I said, are you serious? He said, yeah. He said, have you been drinking? I said, no. He said, when we get to my house, I'll let you drive it. I'm thinking he's
Wow.
joking, right? We pull up in this neighborhood, nothing but mansions,
Wow.
ginormous, look like office buildings.
That Uber thing is not a joke.
Pulled up in front of his house. He said, pull up in front of that garage over there. Goes in, garage door opens, a big old pretty
Did you take
blue.
pictures?
I didn't.
Because you was
Big
just in the moment. You was in the moment.
man, that joker, it was a convertible. It was blue. It was big, and he tossed me the keys. Said, take it for a spin. You think I didn't get in that joke and try?
And ride, Sally, ride.
What, man? I was like, what? And check it.
Dang,
And so
man.
his name is Jacob, but in the
Okay.
app he put his name as Justin. And so I said, Justin, man, this is a bad ride, man. He's like, well, I just want to thank you for getting me home safely. And he said, by the way, my name is not Justin. He said, it's Jacob. I said, well, why you put Justin in the app? He's intoxicated. He said, I don't know.
Mm.
I said, what do you do for a living? He said, I own a marketing business and I do marketing for some of the top law firms in the nation.
Mm.
He said, I had another company that I sold and I got a grip for it. And he said, here, take my number down, text me. And I take his number down and I'm getting ready to pull out from in front of his house. But he hit the button, but the garage didn't come down. So I called him. I said, hey, Jacob, man, let your garage down, man. He was like, all right, dog, I got you. He said, but again, don't forget to text me, man. So TC, I'm just thinking that the relationship that could be built from that. So I told my wife, I said, hey, I was telling her the whole story. I said, you know what? I missed the reservation too, because I had a reservation to go pick up somebody.
Mm.
She said, you mean to tell me you missed the reservation for that? I'm thinking to myself, you're thinking about a $20 reservation. I'm thinking about the relationship that could be built with a millionaire.
Absolutely the right move. Nothing to discuss.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah,
If nothing else, just to expand your horizon
yes, sir.
is worth more than anything you were going to get in that next ride.
Yeah,
And the fact that you made a real contact,
real contact.
you can't put a price on that.
Can't, can't,
Wow.
man. And I'm gonna keep in touch with him too, man.
You should. Get him
Then,
back.
so I pick up this brother, him and his son, and I'm taking them home, and we're talking about different types of meat, and that may be something that we could discuss. You heard of halal, right? Meat, halal meat.
Mm-mm.
So halal meat, they sell it in a lot of grocery stores. And they have stores that specifically sell halal meat, and what it is it's meat that they drain all of the blood out of the meat. This
Okay.
brother says in the grocery stores they leave blood in the meat because they sell meat by the pound, and the blood adds weight
Oh,
to it. He said, but that blood also is poison, though. He said that's what keeps a lot of us sick. He said there's no way that anybody should sit down and eat 6 chicken thighs. He said, but that halal meat, it you don't eat a lot of it. It fills you up. He said, but more than that, it's just good for you. So we're talking about gout, and I pull up in front of his house. Brother live in a mansion. He says, listen. He said, man, I wanna buy a book for you. Matter of fact, I'm gonna order it right now before I get out of this car. He goes on his app, orders the book. He says, see, it's ordered. It'll be at my house tomorrow between 10 and 12. I need you to show up at my house tomorrow and get this book. I said, so brother, I said, what is your name? He said, my name is Fox. And that's the name of my business, Fox Accounting. I have an office in Houston. I have an office in Miami. And I am opening an office right here in Frisco.
Wow.
Making connections, man.
Listen, we should do a whole topic on this show. Every week, I want you to bring 2 fascinating stories, because this is almost like Taxi Cab Confessions. You remember that on years ago? But to bring 2 stories every week, I'm gonna give you 5-10 minutes.
Yeah.
To just, hey, these were the 2 most fascinating stories or people or most interesting people that I met last week. That's
crazy.
Like I said, you can't beat that. There's no other way you would have met those people.
No.
There's no other way. You're not in
way.
their circle.
Nope.
And you definitely wouldn't have been invited to their house.
Nope.
So the power of that networking, which goes back to last week's show, is going to ultimately filter into your net worth. But that's networking at its finest.
That sure is, man. That brother Fox says,
Wow.
give me your number and here's mine. Let's keep in touch. First ride of the day, this morning. Pull up in front of the Omni Hotel at the Dallas Cowboys headquarters. Guy comes out, kind of a big dude, had on all Dallas Cowboy paraphernalia. I thought maybe he may be a player or a former player or whatever.
Right.
Gets in the car and we're talking. And I said, man, I see you got on all the Dallas Cowboy paraphernalia. He said, I may as well, man. I get a check from them. You know, they're paying me. I'm like, really? I said, so what do you do? I said, do you play? He said, no, I'm the offensive coordinator for the Dallas Cowboys. They just hired me 2 months ago. I'm taking them to DFW Airport, and man, we chopping it up all the way there. And he says, you know, I'm hoping to get a 6 or 7 year ride out of this, because if I can get a 6 or 7 year ride out of it, I can get both my daughters through high school. And so I said, man, you know what? I don't know what your religious beliefs are, but listen, I'm just gonna believe by faith that not only will you get a 6 or 7 year ride out of it, but when that 6 or 7 years is up, man, I'm believing that you're going to get a head coaching position, whether it's Dallas or anywhere else. But I'm believing that for you and your family. This guy says, man, thank you so much. I really needed to hear that. I said, so here's what I need from you, though. I don't need you to forget Matthew Berry. I need you to remember this Uber driver. He said, I'll never forget you. But I didn't get his number. I didn't give him mine. I got to get some cards. Because TC, what I'm thinking about doing, what really been pressed on my heart today, is to parlay this into my own personal ride share business.
I got a buddy in Las Vegas who's already doing it and is doing it very well. I got to connect y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's so funny because I think of y'all when I'm talking to one or the other. I think of the other. I got to, and then now that you said that, and that came across my mind today.
Wow.
Carlos, I got to connect y'all too.
Yeah, please
he's
do.
Driving. He worked for AT&T for 10, 15, 20 years. Me and him started pager businesses together back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked for AT&T for like 10, 15 years. Basically, now he in Las Vegas. You already know what that's like to be able to. He did the same thing. Started with Uber, kicked in his own personal business. Now he picking up drivers and they say, look, we need a driver for the whole day.
Yeah.
Boom. All right, $600, $700, $1,000. You got me for the whole rest of the day. Tell me where y'all need to go, and I'll be there. Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
He killing the game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Killing
Because
the game.
every time somebody get in the car, they were like, "What year is this car?" Man, this is nice. Because my wife done put little signs on the back of the seats, you
Nice.
know, no smoking, no drinking, da 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 da, da, no food. Then in the cup holders, I have, you know, Suckers candy.
Yep.
I got the portable USB-C iPhone
Okay.
and all that. You know,
Charging.
one of the charges, three of them. So you know, and when they get in the car, they just very impressed. Man, you mean to tell me I can charge my phone? You got candy, da 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 da.
Everything
And
they
then,
need.
and then you know the mouthpiece. You know I'm gonna talk anyway.
Absolutely.
And every time somebody get in and get out, they tell me this is the most pleasant Uber ride I've ever had. Is there
Awesome.
any way that I can just call you and you can whenever I need a ride? But
That's
I
it.
don't
And
I
that's
don't
how
have
they
a
hit
way
it.
to do it. And I'm instead of hearing this, I'm like, God is saying something. I
Well,
gotta
it
get
was so
started.
easy. Carlos did the same thing, and in them situations, he like, boop, I'm off the clock. Like
Yeah.
they make it so easy for y'all. I'm off
Yeah.
the clock. Don't nobody own my time. I own my
That's
time.
right. That's
He
right.
went and bought a Tesla, the big ones with the wing doors that come
Uh-huh.
up, the threes, the SUV type.
Yeah.
Killing the game. No gas,
Yeah.
some electric, and he killing the
Yeah.
game. I gotta connect y'all tonight after this call.
Yeah,
All right,
gotta
let's
do
jump
it.
right into this. Thank you. That was. I want you to think about that. We're gonna drop some time into that. 'Cause
Yeah.
That's amazing networking, and
Definitely.
we could all learn something from that one way or another.
Yes.
Tonight's show, though, we really wanted to focus on the single mom, concept. Not a concept. The single mom reality for so many of us,
right.
where growing up, the fathers are not necessarily in the households, and mom becomes everything. And so many times, young men, black men, white men, and I'm going to focus still a little bit more on brothers because I believe it is a much higher count in terms of being raised by single moms amongst
Yeah.
African American men than it is with white men. But the real conversation is, what is the real outcome of that? Not to say that a woman can't raise a child or a boy, but the real question becomes, how well is that being done? Now, I want to first of all commend all single women.
Yeah, man.
What an amazing job you do, stepping in where someone else has not stepped up, doing what you gotta do, because Mr. Whoever is not. We ain't gonna get into reasons why they not. We're not here to bash them. I'm here to celebrate you who have stepped up because you had to, did what you had to do, or did what you could do until you could do something better. And in the meantime, talk about whether or not it is really fruitful. And what I mean by that is, does the job really get accomplished from a woman perspective? Now, I know women might want to think that they rule the world and all, but this creature called man, not woman, is something unique. We are by design built to be the leaders and rulers of the world.
Yeah.
Now, you can go down any track you want and get to talking about, I can do everything a man can do. You can't, babe. And it's been designed that way, not only in the human species, but in every species. There
Yeah.
is a male who is designed to lead and to provide covering and safety and security and rule. Okay? I can't help but think of the lion. They rule, that's his job. But every male species is the ruler of a species. So when we talk about the impact of, in our human species, men who are not present with a son and a woman who has to step in and make it work, the real question is, do we really believe that the best job is being done if a woman is trying to take and raise a boy into a man? What are your thoughts on that, Matt? Just to start and kick it off, and then we're going to
Man.
take some questions out of the audience as well.
I think that again, to kind of piggyback, those sisters who are doing it by themselves, you know, kudos to you. And I want to say that you are not the reason that your son's father is not a part of his life.
Right.
Because I believe that regardless of the relationship between a man and a woman, I think there should be no excuse for a man not to be a part of his child's life. I just don't think that. I mean, I fight hell and high water to be a part of my son's life. But to that end, I totally agree with you. It's so difficult for a woman to teach a boy how to be a man. I was raised in a single household. You know, my mom and my brother and two sisters, and my mom did the best she could. But a lot of this stuff I learned on the playground, on the corner, on the job, and a lot of the stuff I learned was about backwards as I don't know what, man.
That's right. From the wrong people to start with.
Always, man. Always. It was always from the wrong people, man. And I don't even know if I had anybody that approached me to say, or to try to mentor me. Because you know, I was in an environment where all of us, I was in the housing projects. Wasn't any homes. Well, there was a couple of homes that had fathers in there, man. But for the most part, we were all doing the same thing, being raised the same way by single mothers, man. So, yeah, I think it's tough. I think it's tough. They're doing it, and women are doing it. They're doing the best they can, but yet and still, it's tough, man. Because there's just some things my mama could not tell me about being a man.
Yeah. And it really is the foundation of tonight's subject, because there are things that come in terms of developing a young boy into a man that a woman cannot relate to. And as hard as they may try, that's a void. And the problem is we're wired differently for that reason.
Oh yeah, definitely.
And you can't pour into something that you don't have in your picture. And so although you think you're doing the very, very best, you probably are. But there's some content that you don't have. So I can't pour into you what I don't have. And what ends up
Name some of that
happening
content. Name some of that content. What is it?
Some of that content would be some simple things like, how about like chivalry, right? Chivalry in terms of understanding and knowing that your job as a young man, as you now progress from boy to man, is to be a protector, is to have chivalry, meaning that you are polite and oversee and are always interested in securing a woman's safety, just inherently. Being a gentleman, meaning just what the word says, gentle man, because we are by nature the stronger vessel. Don't mean that we are smarter than them, but by physical nature, we are the stronger vessel. And so therefore we're built to protect. And along with that comes just the whole mindset of young men sharpening each other. You know, we say, iron sharpens iron, you need other men in your life that will help you in sharpening your own iron. Well, we're about kicking ideas off of a woman, you won't get the same response. But when you're talking to another young man, A, they can relate. B, they're either going through it or they're going to be going through it. And C, if they're already going through it, you can now begin to sharpen each other's irons by confirming that, yep, I went through that the other day, or yeah, I had that happen. So there are all these other little nuances into being a man. I tell somebody all the time, one thing about being a man is I think I might know what I'm talking about. I've been a man 61 years, okay?
Right.
So these are things that we have to, first of all, own up to the fact that this is something that can't quite come from a woman, and then be willing to transpose those things or that content into other men. And another big part of that is when you're talking about going from a boy to a man is the life lessons that take you from boy to man. Because see, we got a lot of men out there that are really boys underneath.
That's
Why?
right.
Because they've never been taught, and they don't have a basis in terms of, well, then what's a man? They ain't never been taught. They never had the conversation, and in most cases, like you just said, some of the conversations that they had were just wrong. They was with the wrong people. It was men who themselves had probably never been raised properly, but sometimes it's all you got. It's Uncle Louie, it's Uncle Frank, it's these guys who are just in your life. Hopefully, you got an uncle like Uncle T. Shout out.
Right on, right on.
That takes that serious and is willing to pour that content into them and own the fact that I don't have all the answers. There's some things that even us as men can't share with our young men because we don't have the answer. But what does that mean? That means show me how to go get the answers when I don't have them. That's equally a big part of it is you're not going to have all the answers. You ain't the smartest guy on the planet. There's always someone smarter than you. And part of it is saying, you know what? I really don't know how that works. And now the young man is sitting there looking at you going, okay, Uncle G, well then what do we do? Well, we go figure it out. That's half the battle. We do some internet research. We do some this. We go find people who are in a position over us or above us. We ask questions. And all of that is still a very big part of the growth that has to happen when we're going from boy to man and being honest enough with yourself to say, I don't have all the answers, and it's okay. I think most people would prefer to be around someone who's willing to own that they don't have all the answers versus Mr. Smarty Pants who got all the answers. Can't nobody say nothing to him. He know everything. Nobody knows everything. And when I get around people like that, I run in the other direction. You ain't never wrong. You got all things. Really? I gotta go. Yeah. So there's a lot that comes with that, and it starts with, first of all, having men who know that we as men require constant development as well. The minute we stop learning, we need to go lay down somewhere, because this is an ongoing process forever. And again, the way that we process information is quite differently than women. We all know that women are much more emotional. It's a given. And so men who don't get an opportunity to be in the presence of other men don't always get what they need, because getting it from a woman, it comes from a different place.
Yeah.
I've heard men say, and I've seen it, men who grow up and were raised by their mama, their grandmama, and their auntie, and then they look a little soft, and they move a little soft, and then we wonder what's wrong. A lot of that is because I was in an environment to where that's how it got brought to me. And so that can cause a problem, especially in men who are truly straight, because all they know is that particular way of accessing information, divulging, and even speaking about it. So just all these nuances that come into play that really make us who we are as men. And you got to have someone in your circle who's willing to sow backwards into you, or a father who is willing to sow into you his learnings to give you shortcuts, so you're not having to go down those same roads as others.
Yeah, I think that that emotional thing is huge when it comes to what a man can offer his son versus what a woman can't. Men are often socialized to suppress their emotions.
Yes.
And I'm reading here. It says that men are often socialized to suppress their emotions and present as stoic and strong, which can lead to difficulty expressing vulnerability and seeking help. And I think a son, a boy, needs that direction from his father or from a man, and to let him know that it's okay to be vulnerable. Okay. There's nothing wrong with being vulnerable. Yeah.
And it's okay to be vulnerable your whole life, right?
Yeah.
So my son and I had a strained relationship in the very beginning, and I fell short in a lot of ways trying to put a blended family together. We ain't got that much time to talk about it, but it took a minute to really get that under control. But as I told him, I said, son, I really hate that I was not able to be there like I needed in the early, but don't get it twisted. Parenting don't stop. You gonna
Sure
need me
don't.
more in your 20s and 30s and 40s than you would have ever needed me in your teens. I promise you that. And so we need to think about that as men. If you are in a situation where you don't have the opportunity to be there with them in their early formative years, it ain't over. Because once again, what I find is 20, 30s, that's when real questions come. That's
Yeah.
when life changing questions are on the table, and they need your guidance there a whole lot more than they did in elementary school. Because in those formative years, they did need a hug. They needed mama to kiss them on the forehead. They needed to pat. They needed that grace that comes from mom. And in a two-parent household, that's what's happening. Mama is there holding them. If they in football, mama's ready to go jump on the coach because somebody hit him too hard, and dad is saying, brush yourself off, get up and let's go. So you got this totally different dynamic that's happening at certain age groups, and the real matter of the situation is they need you differently depending on the age that they're at. So parenting never ends. There's always something to learn, and there's always something to sow into our children no matter what their age. And I believe that we will be consulting them until the day that we die, because that's just how it's made. Yeah.
Yeah, one of the other things this it says here is that men, we're talking about relationship problems. With a mother teaching you how to deal with relationship problems versus having a father to teach you how to deal with relationship problems. Because I think a woman's going to give it to you from a woman's perspective. So how do
Correct.
most women deal with relationship issues? How do men deal with
Yeah.
those same relationship issues? There are two different ways that we deal with it. And this person here is saying that men may experience challenges in relationships, including difficulties with communication and intimacy.
Yeah.
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 And I think that's huge.
It is. And the fact that we live in a society that fosters that. We live in a society that, oh man, man up. Don't be
Yeah,
a little
yeah.
punk. Don't be
That's
out here
right.
crying. You ain't supposed to just man up, push through it. Da. Some of that is true, but we should all know that crying and letting things out is not only an emotional release for women, but I personally believe it's a bigger need in men, because we will basically bury ourselves trying to be the tough guy when all you
Right.
had to do was go have a little cry.
Yeah.
Especially if you got a good woman, go have a good cry on her shoulder, just like
Yeah.
she would be there, you would be there for her. She
Yeah.
should be there for you. And it ain't nothing about being a punk or being soft for a guy that cries. And I tell you, the men that don't cry don't live too long. They got
Yeah.
stress, they dying of heart attacks, they dying of high blood pressure, all kinds of stuff, because they trying to hold stuff in
Hold that stuff
under
in,
this
man.
false belief that that's manning up. No, manning up is saying, I am really hurting right now and I need a soft place.
Yeah.
Manning up is, I'm really distraught. I'm having a tough day and I just need a shoulder to cry on. And
Yeah.
the sooner we do that in life, I think the longer we live. We extend our lives versus that taking you 50 years to recognize ain't nothing wrong with crying. Ain't nothing wrong with having one of them days and just letting it out. There's nothing wrong with that. And so many times we don't do it. It's the same thing that we do with our bodies. We don't take care of our bodies because we constantly trying to push through. Don't
Right.
get checkups. Ain't seen a doctor since doctors went into practice. All of those crazy things that we do under the pretense of I'm a strong man and I can push through and it'll be okay. You only come this way once. You only get one body. And the bottom line is if you don't take care of it, you will lose it. And it ain't no comebacks and do-overs. So
Yeah.
all that goes into just being a healthy man and being a healthy provider for someone, a healthy husband, and they need us. So for us to push our way through everything, and I'm not saying every time you turn around you in a corner crying,
Right.
because that ain't being a man either. We are still providers and protectors and so forth. But there are times when that's really the answer.
Yeah.
Let me just lay here and cry for a minute.
Yeah. Another one is insecurities. Men can have their own insecurities, such as fear of vulnerability
Yeah.
or need for emotional support, which is what you just tapped on.
Yeah.
But here's an insecurity that I believe that a man would be better able to help a son than a mother. When a man is having insecurities about himself physically, or having insecurities about body parts.
Yeah.
Huh?
Yeah.
Because sisters, I know you listening, and that's a real thing with some men. They have
Yeah.
insecurity with some body parts, and so
Not
how?
functioning.
Oh yeah, man.
Yeah.
So man, I need daddy to talk to because I feel more comfortable with talking about body parts to my daddy than I would talking to my mama about
Who
that.
can clearly relate because he done probably already been there and done that.
Right.
And it's the same thing that runs back into the physical checkups. So,
Yeah.
we as black men have a higher we have a higher detection of cancer, prostate cancer of all things, one of the most, I think one of the highest levels of cancer to cure. And yet, we as men won't sit down and have that conversation with our sons or with other men. We pushing through it. We ain't trying to open up like that. And it's that very conversation that could save somebody else's life who is thinking, once again, you just being a punk, getting that kind of a checkup. Ain't nothing wrong with me. I got this. You don't know what's wrong with you until
Yeah.
you go get checked out.
Yeah.
So again, very, very important situations there that can be so easily resolved with conversation, and they're conversations that can't be had from a woman to a man. It's a man-to-man conversation that can save somebody's life.
Yeah,
Very
there,
serious.
there was an op-ed that was written back in February, and here's some startling statistics. And it probably shouldn't be startling to us, but it says our nation is home to approximately 24 million fatherless children, or about 1 in 3 of all American children.
Right.
Approximately 80% of these homes are led by single mothers. And the rate of children living in single parent households is the highest of any country in the world. America. Yeah. Our nation's fatherless epidemic has particularly ravaged the black community. Nearly 70% of all black babies in America today are born to unmarried mothers, and 64% of all black children grow up in a single parent home. That is a lot. 70% of all black babies in America today are born to unmarried mothers, and 64% of all black children grow up in a single parent home. And if somebody is challenging those numbers, why don't you do this right here? Think about all of your friends and your cousins and count how many of them grew up with mom and dad in the house versus just mama in the house.
A
And
lot of this
you'll come up
rolls-
with them numbers.
Yeah, a lot of this rolls back to another show that we did on just marriage in the United States in
Yeah.
general, and the marital rate of each ethnicity. And again, it is still a very alarming statistic in the fact that once again is this new culture that we live in. Women saying, I can just have a baby. I don't need to get married. I can get a donor or whatever. Women just simply wanting to have children and not wanting to put the whole thing in place that gives your child the best outcome for a successful life. So
That's
it's the
key.
culture that we're in that has fostered that and
It
made
sure
us
is.
think, you don't need that. You want to have a
Yeah.
baby? Go have a baby. You 40, your clock ticking, just go have a baby. And you don't think about all this ripple effect happens all the way down when all of a sudden now you're a single mom and now you're trying to split time between the job and raising a baby or raising a teenager. All those things come out of making that wiser decision on the front. Right? That marriage is the only institution that we really should want to have children in. But we all new these days, and half of us ain't churched, so we don't get the foundation of that. And we kind of going for anything, crystals and crystal balls and rocks and sage is our new religion.
Talking about the universe, the
Everything
universe
is
told
the
me
universe.
this, and I'm like, come on, man.
Yeah.
But
It's a tough time.
you're absolutely right, man. I don't want to bash sisters, but
Yeah.
I think that can be very selfish to desire to have a child, but don't care. I can have a child, take care of my baby. I just want a baby. I don't have to have
Yeah.
a man in my life. I think that's being selfish. That's a selfish desire, because what you're talking about, what you want, but not taking in consideration the damage that it could do to the child. Check this out. Tragically, here are some issues that come about when we do it like that. Fatherlessness strongly correlates with negative outcomes in nearly every aspect of a child's life. Fatherless families are 25% more likely to raise a child in poverty.
Yeah.
And 90% of all homeless and runaway children don't have a father. How about that?
Yeah.
Additionally, 85% of children and teens with behavior disorders come from fatherless homes. Fatherless children also account for 71% of child substance abuse cases. And approximately 70% of all youth in state-operated institutions are fatherless. So when you make a decision to say, I just want a child, I don't care if he ain't there to help, because I can work and take care of myself and my child.
Yeah.
These are some of the concepts, and I'm not saying, sisters, that this will happen to all women who make that decision, but there's the possibility, a strong possibility, that these are some of the things that you will encounter,
Yeah.
by wanting to do it your
It's
way.
the ripple effect. The
Yeah,
ripple
'cause
effect of that decision.
Yeah, because you can't go through the back door and expect to get a positive outcome. You just can't. You got to go to the front door and knock on the front door, and somebody open the door and invite you, and all that, going backwards and doing the wrong thing, thinking you're going to get the right results is
Right.
you can't do it, man. Can't do it.
And this is not a slam to sisters who maybe have been in a marriage and it didn't work.
Oh,
and you end
yeah.
up with the kid. This is not
Right,
a
not
slam
that.
to them at all. This is not you. And in those situations, I think that those are good decisions in the beginning that just didn't work out. And
Yeah.
even if you have to go and do it again, at least having a different perspective the second time around and knowing that there is value in having a two-parent household. And now your job is to ensure that the partner is suitable to be an actual parent to your children. And you ain't just out marrying somebody because they're good for you, but they're good for your family. And so that's a big part of it as well, because that's the reality of the world that we live in. We do get divorced. We do get remarried.
Oh, yeah.
And it's so important that we choose that second mate based on having all of those qualities, not just being a great husband and a great lover, but if you've got children, being a great father and a great provider and someone that is a nurturer and good teacher to your children. So very important, and it is bigger than all of us. It's not just about one of us. It's about all of us. It's about an entire culture. Each culture has nuances that get them here.
Yeah.
The real question is, do we have a way of getting back out of it should it happen? And then more importantly, making sure that we have the right things in place that foster good development and learning and simple child rearing, because they are still the most important equation in a household environment. It's the children.
Yeah.
It ain't the diamond ring. It ain't the cars. It ain't the houses. it's the children.
Mm-hmm.
They are the ones that are irreplaceable. And so hoping that that brings some light to many of the single moms, our hat goes off. Kudos to you because over the years you have always shown up. I was
Yeah.
just talking to Matt in our
Always.
pre-call, professional athletes go down and sign with somebody big. If it's 8 out of 10, I'm gonna go up there and just be like, I gotta thank my mama. It's mama. Every now and then, dad is in the equation, but every time they go up, mama is in the
It's
equation.
mama always.
So mama is still the golden, sort of person in our lives. Even if daddy is there, there's a spot for mama that's just a little over, especially for a young man. And actually, those are good qualities.
That's right.
A man who cherishes his mom is going to cherish his wife. So
That's right.
that's another good assessment in the fact that we get to see what this man is made of and how he takes care of the first woman that he loved.
Yeah.
And that normally transitions downward and ensures you that you got a pretty good shot that you got a man that's going to
Yeah.
do the same for his family.
Yeah, mom is the GOAT, man. Mom
Yeah,
the
man.
GOAT, man. She's
Yeah,
the greatest
man.
the greatest of all time, man. Mom
Yeah.
is the GOAT. Ain't no doubt about it, man.
Yeah.
Like I said earlier, my mom raised 4.
Mm.
And did one hell of a job,
Right.
one hell of a job. So, and shout out again. I'm a shout out again to you sisters who are doing this thing, and you're doing it by yourself. You've had
Yeah,
to
man.
raise them by yourself, man. Listen, kudos to you.
All day, every day.
I mean, for being so strong and tenacious and courageous and having that stick-to-itiveness, if that's a word, I didn't make that one
It
up.
is tonight.
Yeah,
Yeah.
having that stick-to-itiveness, man.
Yeah.
So, yes, sister. So, please don't take this as a
Shout
let's bash single sisters
Yeah.
with children. No,
Yeah.
that's not it. Because many of the single sisters are you're in that condition or in that position because a brother just
Didn't come to the occasion. Yeah.
Didn't come to the
rise,
occasion, man.
Didn't rise
Yeah.
to the occasion.
and I and I think it's a sorry brother, man, that does not want to be a
Yeah.
part of a child's life. Something you created come from you, and
Yeah.
you and here to hey, hurt people.
Yeah.
And so you got a brother who came from the same situation that he just created.
Right.
His daddy came from the same situation. His dad, you know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
just it's a generational thing, man.
Yep.
And this gets passed down and passed down and passed down, and at some point, somebody has to break the cycle. And I think this year too, I've been noticing that there are a lot of mentor programs going on now for young black boys, and I think that is awesome. But you know
Yeah.
what? If you know that a sister is a single mother trying to raise her son, you know this, and you have some kind of relationship with her, friends or whatever. I think at some point, man, what's the old saying? It takes an entire village.
Yeah.
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 Let's get our village together, man. And brothers,
Yeah.
you're with your wife and you're raising your son, but your wife has a friend who's a single mom, man. Help that sister out, man.
Yeah.
Help her mentor that boy, man.
Yeah. Those are good words.
Yeah, we need that. There's nothing wrong with stepping in and trying to be a mentor to somebody else's son, man. Listen, it'll keep us out of prison because we have more of us in prison than anybody.
Yeah.
Over 60% of the prison population is made up of black men,
It's crazy.
and they are fatherless black men. And
Yeah.
you know what? Here's something else too. A father doesn't have to be out of the home in order to be absent, because there are some that are in the house
you
and they are
talking now.
absent.
You talking now.
Yeah,
Because a lot of times that is the real issue because of the simple fact that some of us think we're doing something because you physically there. But if you're not physically there, involved in the things that make life go well for that household, then it's probably almost better that you not be there.
Yeah.
Another one that somebody was talking about a while back is having multiple wives, multiple and not wives, multiple baby mamas,
Yeah.
and having to hop around 2, 3 different houses, and yet beating your chest talking about I take care of my kids. Anytime you have more than one household with a child, you have a broken household that you
That's
are
right.
responsible for. So simply having kids and paying the bills and making sure they got shoes, that's not
No.
fathering.
No.
That's showing up every now and then, and therefore the child is not being fathered and nurtured like a child should be.
Right.
And so a lot of times we get really confused about what it takes. But I'm glad you bring that up, because physically being in the house don't mean that you're really doing everything that needs to be done. And sometimes it would have been better if you wasn't there. When a child is fully raised or fully grows up and looks back at maybe the hell you put his mama through, they probably wish you weren't there. And that's another one that they talk about. One of the measurements that they gauge the well-being of a child is how happy his mother was. How happy
Wow.
was the mother? Even if she
Wow.
is a single mom and you popping over doing this and that and the other, a mom who is stressed out, always under the gun, ain't never got enough to meet, having to deal with you, and so, a child's true health is based on the happiness of the mother. So there's a lot to be said there in terms of us as men taking care of the family, taking care of the mother, taking care of the child, and being present. Physically present, meaning I'm pouring in, not I showed up and checked the box that I saw him this weekend. There's a whole lot more to it than that. A whole lot more.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
You know,
definitely.
I say my mom, was a single mother, but I want to make a correction to that, because I did have a stepfather, right?
Okay.
Great man, great man, great man, great man, loving to death,
Yeah.
but I didn't have that interaction like father son with him.
Yeah.
He's the father of my younger brother and younger sister,
Okay.
but he worked 14 hours a day.
Yep. That's a whole
So
other thing.
so when I got ready to go to school, he was
Yeah.
asleep because he had just made it home.
Gotcha.
When I made it home from school, he was
on
at
his way
work.
out.
Yeah,
Already
yeah, he
gone.
was already at work, and so we didn't have that get to build a father-son relationship as a kid. We did as I got older,
Right.
but because when you get older as a man, you start understanding some things,
Sure.
and so
Sure.
and so I understood, better what was going on when I was younger. But as far as him, he was a provider. He would come to my football games.
Gotcha.
If I got sick at school, my mom
Yeah.
didn't come get me. He came and got
came.
me. Yeah, he took me to the doctor. But
Nice.
we didn't get a chance to, as a kid, to have that bond as a
Bonding.
kid. It happened
Yeah.
when I got older, man. When I had my first child, he would come buy Pampers and all kinds of stuff, man. We're just always there, man. Come by and drop a couple of $100, on
Yeah.
me and my ex, man. And so I want to make sure that I correct that, because I do want to give him,
Credit.
a shout out. Yeah, man. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And you know
yeah.
what that is? Those are moments that we can look at and say, although that wasn't perfect, and I appreciate this person for what he did do, that is a room for growth and opportunity in my life.
Yeah.
I'm not going to work 14 hours a day. Why? Because I know what the impact of that is on the child. I'm
Yeah.
not going to do certain things because I know that didn't play out well. He meant well. He did the best he knew how.
Yeah.
And he probably had some people patting him on his back that you're doing a great job. But until you talk to the child and hear the real impact, there's some growth that can transpire.
That's right.
there.
That's
And
right.
that's why I always say I took from my household all the good stuff and I left the bad stuff over there.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah.
going to empower anything negative and say, well, I'm messed up because my dad was messed up. I'm not going to own that. If he did it wrong, I'm going to do it right, or I'm not going to
Yeah.
do it at all.
Yeah.
So you got to own that and use those things to make yourself better, to
Yeah.
ultimately make your child's experience better.
Yeah, because you know what, just to keep it 100,
Yeah.
many of the mistakes that we made in life had nothing to do with the house that we were raised in.
Right.
A lot of these mistakes we just made mistakes from being a human,
Right.
or from things that we learned outside of our home. Because
Right.
every issue that I had didn't stem from what happened in my home. Some of the stuff stemmed from the people that I hung out with,
Gotcha.
and I knew it was wrong,
Yeah.
and I knew that in my house that wasn't tolerated,
Right.
but I did it anyway.
Yep.
But but to have a real father in the home,
Mm-hmm.
I think it can be a deterrent for a young man.
For sure.
Cause you
Specifically for a
see,
young man,
yeah,
because you got somebody that can stand toe to toe with you
right,
and shut that foolishness down.
right,
Yeah.
absolutely right. Cause you know what,
Yeah.
I think I told my wife this, my daughter this too. You know, the first woman that a boy learns how to manipulate is his mom.
Oh, for sure. For
That's
sure.
the first woman he learns how to manipulate,
For
mom.
sure.
Yeah.
No,
Give mama that sad face.
oh yeah, because
Yeah,
you gonna be a favorite no matter what in her eyes.
yeah,
And at
yeah,
the end of the day, she is willing to compromise for you.
yeah,
And we
yeah.
know that growing up. And so as we become adults and young men, we know at the end of the day, mama gonna be there. Even when
Yeah.
daddy done shut it down, because now she feeling some kind of way that daddy done shut you down. So you
Hmm.
actually up your ante and getting your way now. Because she gonna be on the backside going, here, baby. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think some of our single moms, man, I think they feel a some empathy or sympathy for their
Mm-hmm.
son because he doesn't have his father's not around, and so you
Yeah.
know,
And
and
then
then
that's the other side of it.
but
Yeah.
but a son will play on that though
Oh, for sure.
to get what he wants from his mom.
For sure.
He'll play on that. He knows. Some of these boys know what's going on. Mom
Mm-hmm.
feels bad, sorry, because my dad is nowhere around, and so he takes advantage of it, and she feels sorry about it.
Yeah.
You know,
So true. So true.
everybody playing with each other.
Yeah. Yeah. But it's the nature of those relationships. They are intertwined,
Yeah,
we grow in them and through them. And again, kids are smart.
oh
They're
yeah,
wise enough to figure that out and figure out how to make it work for them. So, but that's a part of the dynamic. So, and that's why you need two parents,
hmm,
because if one is being fully manipulated, then you got a bad situation on your hand. And when you got two parents, they can both see that drama. They can see it
right,
and nip it off at the bud. But
hmm,
if you're doing it by yourself, you ain't got enough eyes to be able to catch all that. But
hmm,
again, just another reason why having a two family or two parent household has such great advantages. But again, the two parent household only works if the parents can get their act together. You do not want two people who ain't got their own act together sticking around and hanging around for the children. All
hmm,
you're doing is irreversibly damaging their lives with
right,
foolishness, with
right,
y'all's arguments, with all the craziness, infidelities, and at that point it's not worth it. And a mother
hmm,
needs to be wise enough to let that drama go, because what you do is you poison your children by allowing that man to stay in your life. And
hmm,
way too often, too many women do that. Some doing it because they literally become mentally, sort of disturbed by those relationships. Others are doing it for selfish reasons. I just want a man. Whatever the reason, that is a very dangerous decision to make, because you are destroying your children's lives just to be able to hold on to somebody say a piece of a man. It ain't worth it.
hmm,
Just not worth it. And way too many women do it. And that ain't an ethnicity thing. That's a woman thing in general. So
right,
be
right,
wise.
right.
Sometimes it's better to be without at the end of the
Yeah,
day. Better to be
absolutely.
without.
Step Ashley. She
That's my
says that.
cousin.
She says we also have to remember as parents the energy we give. Don't take anger out on the kids because of the choices we made.
Hmm.
Accept our part
In the equation.
in the
Yeah.
equation. And I don't know if you are able to play
Oh,
that
let's see if
video,
we can hear
TC,
that. Yeah. Let me
but I
see if I
think
can
that's
pull it.
pretty but the deal was actually mother refusing to take Billy, her, and she projecting her pain. Yeah, she projected her pain onto her son.
Yeah. Yeah, she did. I don't want a video. Let me see if I can pull this up, y'all. Stand by. Let's go. Share screen. Oh, shoot. I might have shut that down. Stand by. Where did you? Oh, I put that in my. Okay, I know where it's at. Stand by. Yeah, we got a really interesting video of a single mom explaining some of her rationality in terms of raising this child, this single boy. I think this is off that show Anaya. Is that what was that what it was called? I didn't watch it often, but I've seen the show before. We'll close that down. We'll go right here. Okay, I think we can make this work. All right, we're gonna present a different screen. Nope. Okay, screen share. These two monitors. Yeah. Of course, you know it would be slow as molasses. Be able to see two contents. Hold on. Do one more thing. Try to help y'all out. Put it in the second screen. Try this one more. One more again, as we would say. Share the screen. Okie dokie. And that's a window. Yeah. Entire screen. Here we go. Tell me what you see there, Matt. It should open up in a second. It's my second screen. Okay. You guys see that? Matt? Matt, do you see the second screen? Stand by, y'all. What you got, Matt? That's fine. Do you see my screen?
I do.
Yeah,
I
I
do.
was asking.
I do see it. But yeah, you couldn't hear me though because I was backstage.
Oh, gotcha. Let me see if I can get this thing to kick off from the beginning. It's not giving me the front part. Are you hearing this right now, Matt?
Barely.
I don't know if we'll be able to get this to work.
Yeah, probably not.
Sure, that's hurtful.
Oh, there it is.
You okay with that? And it's hurtful for the things that he's. There you go. You're doing it. You're doing it right now.
Can you make it bigger?
I'm holding you accountable. And
I'm trying.
You spit in your words. You can't take that away. Tell me. Just look up. Just answer it. We'll get back to that other stuff later. Tell me. Forgive me. I respect him. He's a wonderful man. Do you understand that your mouth, your voice, your words are connected to the coils in his heart, to the valves in his heart? He can't help but love you.
Can't make it any bigger.
And every time you
Can you hear me, TC? Can you hear me?
I can hear you, man.
You said you can't hear me?
I can hear you
Oh, okay.
loud and clear.
Okay. Yeah, it doesn't look like it's going to play the way we would need it to play. There we go.
So again, apologies on that. This was a clip where the mother was explaining her expectations about a son that she, for the most part, had conjured up, and so the whole thing was about where did you get the concept or an idea of this boy being that type of man? And she was like, I made it up. I mean, which boils right down to it, because a woman who have never been a man, your concept of what you think he should be is basically just something that you've made up because you've never been a man. And so it was a really good overview of boys needing their fathers, because it's that type of information that they get that will make a difference in their lives. Again, we'll do a better job with that on the next go round in terms of trying to get that together. Oh, I got another thing I can't go live here. All right, so yeah, it looks like we was having some issues here. She said she couldn't hear. So is everybody good now? Can everybody hear us? Okay, lost Matt. Matt's gone.
No, I'm on
See
here.
the screen, but Matt is gone. It's on YouTube. Let's see if we got you back on YouTube. I don't know.
I'm here.
A lot. Okay.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me,
Somebody is
TC?
saying that I can hear you loud and clear.
Okay,
Someone's
good.
saying that they can't see you on YouTube. The video is on YouTube.
No, it's up. They couldn't at first because it went down. I don't know. Maybe it was my Wi-Fi, but they can see me now.
Okay. Well, we're about to wrap it up anyway, so if we're at the tail end of it, no big deal. It was good. It was a good show. Hopefully it was a good conversation with you guys. This is a conversation that's always in season. Thinking about how mothers are always stepping to the table, doing what they got to do, and hopefully holding everybody accountable in the process.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because the women are doing what they have to do because for whatever reason men have not. For
Yeah.
whatever reason, and there's a billion reasons. But it doesn't change the fact that the impact on our children will always be negative. If you don't do these things, your children will suffer. Period. If you choose men who are not good fathers, your children will suffer. If you are not a good mother, and more importantly, a good helpmate to a man, ain't no man gonna stick around. So you could have a good man and it could be you. If you're not a helpmate, he ain't sticking around. So there's all kinds of things that we can all hold ourselves accountable for. And then ultimately, like we were just saying, having children shouldn't be just a lightweight thing. We shouldn't just be talking about, I want a baby. We shouldn't be, first of all, here's the other big one. We talk like having a child is something that jumps on you. No, you have to go to bed with somebody unprotected. How about we just
Yeah.
start with that?
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like,
Yeah.
that's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. We're just going to go to bed with somebody who have some unprotected sex and what? Run the dice and say, let me see. If you ain't trying to have no baby, there's 50 ways where you can take care of that. So let's just be real with ourselves. And we almost act like condoms don't exist no more. You know, especially in this subject here. So 50 ways this can happen, we know. But ultimately, if you think about the impact that this will have on a child that you've not been able to raise properly, maybe you'll think about that differently. So it is definitely something I think we can all learn from. Hopefully, if you're already in that situation, you're doing a better job at managing it. And more importantly, you're educating some younger people behind you on how
Right.
not to be there. That's the best we
Right.
can do. Provocative victim video is on YouTube if you want to share. Okay, so somebody said the provocative victim video is on YouTube if you want to share it. So you guys can go out there and search that and hear that whole thing. And I appreciate that from someone letting us know. Well, we are now about 8:12, Matt.
Yeah.
Let me just reach out to the audience. Are there any questions? Is there any feedback that anybody would like to share? Hopefully the show was good. Milo says he can hear. That's good. Hopefully you guys should be able to hear us all and see us all. Is there anybody who cannot? Okay. I think I'm seeing delayed messages in terms of what I'm asking. Any further conversations that you guys would like to throw at this? Any comments, questions, concerns, thoughts? Very good. Very good. Don't hear anything else. Hopefully you guys thought this was a good topic. Again, I think it's always in season when we're talking about our most valuable things that we own, that we own, the most valuable things that we are in charge of while we're here on earth. These children, we are stewards over them. They
Yeah.
belong to God, but we are stewards.
That's right.
And we should never not take that serious. That means that all of the decisions that we make for ourselves, we have to keep them in mind,
Yeah.
born or unborn. If you ain't got none, you need to be thinking about that decision. And if you got some, you need to be thinking about, am I with the right person? So all that's just keeping it real, you know,
Yeah.
not something to take lightly.
Yeah. Sisters, be very mindful of who you sleep with,
Hey, it's real.
and brothers, if you make one, take care of it.
Come on.
Regardless of your relationship with the mother, you have a responsibility, man, to take care of your child. You don't have to be in an intimate relationship with her in order to take care of your responsibilities.
No doubt.
And your child. You know what, man? Maybe that's a whole nother show. But it always seems like men have that problem, and I think women have that problem too. But men have that issue if they're not in an intimate relationship, then they don't want to
do
have
nothing.
nothing.
Yeah. No, it's beyond that, because at this point we already know, based on the statistics, that we all are doing things that get us here, and many times it's not what we wanted.
Yeah.
And then there are times when we think we do want it, and it don't turn out right.
Yeah.
And again, I think that is 80%. I would like to think that's 70 or 80% of what's going on, but I would really like to, like we're doing here, I'd like to deal with the fact of the matter that a child is here.
Yeah.
Period. We can talk about how it happened and who
Yeah.
did it and this, that. That's irrelevant. A child is here. Now what we gonna do? That's where we need to be focused. And we need to take some back thought and say, okay, I don't want to make that mistake no more. So how do I wrap that up? But more importantly, a child is here. What do I do?
Yeah. Not make that same mistake.
And not
1,
make the same
2,
mistakes.
3, 4.
When you walk
5
around here
times.
with 5, 6, 7, 8 baby mamas, okay, there's a problem. There's a
Yeah.
problem. Again, that's just taking ownership again.
It sure
Ain't
is.
nothing cool about that. Ain't nothing funny about that. You're talking
Mm-hmm.
about people's lives, your children's lives at that.
Mm-hmm.
So do better when you know better, and that don't take a whole lot of rocket science to figure out. Do better when you know better. All righty. Well, I think we got another one in the books there, Matty Matt.
I think we do. We
yes,
do.
Sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, we
And
do.
once again, this episode and every episode thereafter is brought to you by
Cascom.
LTE radios. Now, many of you may have missed our show on this technology. This is the technology that I am basically bringing to the market, and it's called Cascom two-way radios. These are LTE radios that allow you to talk from one radio to the next anywhere in the United States or abroad, meaning you've got a loved one that you want to stay in touch with, you've got multiple people you want to stay connected to. These radios at a very low cost of about $10 a month allow you to connect with another two-way radio that you are subscribed to and have private two-way communication at any time. Who knows what tomorrow's going to bring? Who knows if your cell phone carrier is going to be up or not? These devices use all three cell phone carriers versus your cell phone, which only uses one. So great for business, great for private family use. So businesses, I can now talk to my, delivery people, service people. I'm not spending $50 a month on a cell phone to call Frank. I can push a button and Frank's on the other end. So variety of ways that these devices can be used. They can be fun. You can take them on vacation, keep up with each other. We can tailgate in cars. We can have friends or loved ones in a different state. Your mom lives in one state, you're in another. Bam, push a button. I'm talking to mom every morning or whenever she gets up or whenever we want to talk. So great devices, lots more coming. The business officially launches April 1st, but we are taking on beta customers at this time. If you'd like more information, feel free to reach out to me, either right here on the website or on any of the social media platforms, YouTube or Facebook.
Yeah, can you very quickly give us the price on those devices?
Yeah. Currently, beta offering, so we're in beta right now. So prior to April 1, prices will be $155 on what we call the P10 model, and I could be wrong on these prices, y'all. I think it's $175 on the G9 devices, and then they're pre-April 1, they're $5 a month. After April 1, they're $10 a month for the radios to work. They use a SIM card. So think about a cell phone. You pay a monthly service. These will be billed monthly directly to a credit card or an actual debit card. Again, prior to April 1, $5 a month. After April 1, $10 a month. Really great. I'm having a ton of fun. We're selling these to, I just sold them to a tree service today. We've got multiple families that are now lighting them up, loving the ability to be able to be in touch with their kids or loved ones. You got whole families that are getting on and now they can talk, doing the same thing you guys do with a text message chat. Every family got a group text message that you're using right now. Take that whole concept and put it into voice, and you can just talk to each other instantly, either one-to-one or inside the group. Same thing you're doing with a text message group. So a lot of fun. You'll hear more about it, and we'll definitely be talking about it on this show every single time as we grow it out and bring on additional products and services. And I thank you guys in advance for supporting my business. My business is actually called My Wireless Life, and this is called the Cascom radio lineup. The lineup, my radios are called Cascom, short for Caston Communication. Just in case you need to put that together. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Having a lot of fun.
Yeah.
All right. And there is an actual presentation, a full presentation on these devices is at one of our previous podcasts. You can go out to YouTube and look at that. It was the podcast called What If? In other words, what if we wake up tomorrow and your cell phones don't work? What if we're somewhere and you don't have access to your phone? You can store these radios in the glove compartment of your car for $10 a month. That's McDonald's, and it'll be there. And if something happens, you pull it out, and hopefully you can talk to your people on your private channel. Boom, boom, boom. Just a real great way of having an optional way to communicate. And I say optional because we have gotten so brainwashed. We got one phone, one way of communicating. 90% of us got one way of communicating, cell phone. And if I shut that one network down, you are lost and panicking. So think about it. And we live in a day and age where anything is possible right now, like never before.
And those phones, they use USB-C chargers. Is that correct?
They do USB-C chargers. So anybody using a current
USB-C?
Android type device, boom, plug right. I think they might have just flipped the iPhone to USB-C.
They
as
did.
well.
They did.
Finally, makes sense. So that's the standard adapter. Plug them up in your car. Plug them up anywhere. Same type of plugs. So good stuff. Good stuff.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, sir. Well, if there are no further questions, I want to thank you all for joining us tonight. Hopefully, this was a good topic. Once again, any questions about the two-way radios, there's a full presentation out there under title of What If for the podcast. And then we'll be bringing you more information on that and other great topics here in the future.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
good stuff. Good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else, Matty Matt?
No, man. Great show.
Cool.
Great content.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very, very good content.
Good.
As always. As always.
As always.
Cause listen, cause we like Heat Wave, man. Ain't no half stepping. Ain't no half stepping.
You gonna make me go. I'm gonna be streaming that whole album. Let's go.
Yes, sir. He said you gotta do it good. Yeah. Ain't no half stepping.
Ain't
Right
no
on.
half stepping. That's
No, not with conversations with Uncle T. Ain't no half stepping, y'all. We do it right. We
Can't
do
do
it
it.
right. We do it tight.
do it. Can't
And
do
we'll do it all night if you like.
If you like. I ain't gotta go home. I'm already home.
Hey, that's what I'm saying.
All right. Well, you know what I say. Go on and do what you do. And if you can't be good, be good
Be
at it.
good at it. Yes, sir.
All good. All right. Again, until we see you guys next week, same time, same bat channel. Have an absolute fabulous week. Great weekend.
Yes, sir.
And, be kind to each other, man. Be kind to
Yeah,
each other.
yeah.
That's for real.
Yeah, right.
Matty
on.
Matt, love
Yes,
you, boy.
sir. Love you back, man.
Yeah. And we are looking forward to our next conversations with Uncle T. And
Yeah.
once again, viewing audience, if there are topics that you would like to hear us address, feel free to throw it out there. We'd love to jump on it. So
Yeah, absolutely.
that being said, we're going to shut it down.
Right
Have a
on.
good one, and we'll talk to you guys soon.